your money being spent worthwhile when it comes to education. It's very expensive, number one. So also assessing the assessor is difficult to do. So when you as a professional, Professor Mudau, how do you structure out a good assessment and a good evaluation? How would you actually see it? Because here there's a claim, I don't want us to stick to this case too long, but there is a case of saying, well, the marking is racialized. But how would you see that as an outsider? It probably would be hard to say so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I need to say is that as a university, to avoid this kind of things, we have systems in place, and most universities know that they have that. So what you'll find, of course, we are trusted as professionals, but as Mudau, I would also choose moderators, objectives. And then we have quality assurance systems. So if you set up an assessment task, it will have to be moderated either internally and also externally, and against the set standards. And even the marking of the scripts of students, it should be based on the prior agreed arrangement of this is what we shall call the memoranda, to say this is what is going to be used so that it is fair to everyone. But then the problem is if Mudau decides to choose a moderator who also has the same kind of thinking as Mudau in this case, if the university identifies that students of a particular race are failing or they are not getting high marks than the other ones, then they should be concerned, and they should also make other investigations, because in universities there is a quality assurance chairperson. So it is not that it can just happen without somebody being aware of this.
Okay. We're going to take a bit of a break early now. I just want us to sort out your line so we can hear you a little bit more clearly, okay. Prof. But we did hear what you were saying. It's just I want to get a healthier line there. We're speaking about assessments and marking examinations. How do you determine whether it is correctly done or not? We've got our guest helping us on that one. We'll see if we can sort out that line, and let's take an early break and we'll be back.
Je, una jambo lolote akilini mwako? Je, una shauku kuhusu maswala muhimu? Na je, una maoni ambayo unataka yasikike? Kweli, hili jukwaa ni la kwako. Piga simu au tuandikie kwenda WhatsApp namba alama ya kujumulisha 2760552594 na tutakupigia simu.
Mtangazaji wa habari zetu za Afrika Kusini mjini Johannesburg.
Hivyo unaweza kuwa mshirika kwenye matangazo yetu. Sio mazungumzo tu, ni fursa yako ya kuchangia maoni yako na kushirikiana na jumuiya ya wasikilizaji wanaotamani mtazamo wako. Tufuate kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Tembelea tovuti yetu www.channelafrica.co.za na uwe tayari kushiriki na kuchangia maoni yako kwenye Channel Africa. Channel Africa, mtazamo wa Kiafrika.
Africa in Song with Chanduko Ligege.
So when you think of African music, you think of kwasa kwasa, high life music from West Africa, Afrobeat from West Africa, of gospel music or faith music or spiritual music. But when we think of reggae music, we go to the Caribbean, and if it's Africa, we only think about Lucky Dube. Well, I'm here to introduce you to some reggae music from Africa. Salif Keita with Dakan Faye from Mali, and I must say this one was a real shock for me because I never had imagined Salif Keita on a reggae beat. But listening to him, it just proved to me how versatile he is as an artist, because you'd be expecting him to be on that vibe of West Africa, of ballads. But he really proved that he is very versatile, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Africa in Song with Chanduko Ligege.
On the Move, weekdays, 9 a.m. to midday. Only on Channel Africa. #On the Move.
Who defines your success when it comes to your education? The assessors that mark your papers have a big role to play when it comes to whether or not you are on the other side of your education. And are these assessment tools helping or harming the goal when it comes to some biases that may exist? We're still having this conversation with Professor Awelani Mudau, National Research Foundation rated full professor in the Department of Science and Technology Education at the University of South Africa. Hopefully we have you on a much better line, Professor. Thank you so much for staying with us. Let's go into, this conversation a little bit deeper. When it comes to moderators and those who assess, the papers that, those students write within those, university, college landscapes, how do their biases or can their individual biases actually play a role in how they assess? I'm thinking about some of, the concepts that are being learnt there, that maybe I can answer a question from my context as a young black South African from the township, and someone else might answer that same question in the context of them also being a black girl from the suburbs. But the moderator themselves also has their own context. Does that bias play a role in the marking process?
Yes, no, it does. Let me give you this example. In one of the South African universities, colleagues noticed that in a particular program, students of a particular race were passing with distinctions. And then they were concerned to say it cannot be normal that black students do not pass with distinctions, but these ones of a particular race, they are writing the same assessments, they are being moderated by the very same people. But because they were concerned, they did investigations, and then they tightened up the quality assurance processes. And thereafter, everything changed. So what I'm trying to say is, it can happen that a moderator has certain biases, and then, but if the university does not put systems in place, the checks and balances, it will go on unnoticed. Mm-hmm. But in a particular case, what I've noticed is that somebody raised a concern, but then somebody at the university did not deal with that particular concern. That is why it came up into the media. So that tells us to say the biases will always be there, but then we need to put systems in place so that our students are not disadvantaged. Because if you respond to a question from your context, the moderator also has to be cognizant of that, to say maybe this student is coming from a rural area. Because some moderators or markers also mark English, the language. Mm-hmm. Of course, English is my fourth language, but then if you're not marking the content and then you are marking the correctness of the language, in that case, it means it will create what biases and disadvantages.
Mm. It's so interesting that you say that. What would the composition be then in the panel of markers? Would diversity be something that's included in putting together maybe a group of people who are marking papers or verifying even the marking?
Yes, that is an ideal situation. But as I said, at universities, we have the module lecturer who owns the module, is the one who normally chooses who are the moderators and the markers. Okay. So which means it is up to that particular person to be fair and say, because of what I have and the kinds of students that I have, I need to bring out a mix. But if Mudau is naughty or is rooted to his biases or where he's coming from, it means I can simply choose people who look differently and mark differently, those groups in that case. So which means that it's a structural thing. So it starts with how I choose the markers as well as the moderators. But the university must be really involved. Oh, sorry, I'm an academic, I can talk too much.
But then there would be a bias and an oversight there if a person who's heading that particular subject is the one deciding who the markers are going to be. How do you make sure that their process is also not of bad quality, though, that decision-making process of saying, okay, these are the people that are going to mark my subject. Who holds them accountable?
Yes, so that's what I indicate that in the university system, so there will be the markers who will mark the scripts, and there will be internal moderators and also external moderators. So they are chosen by the universities and employed by the university. It is up to the quality assurance chairperson to keep the balances, to tell Mudau, the people you have chosen in this case, they are not balanced. Why don't you bring a mix in this case? Maybe they are of a particular one race, try to bring a balance. But if you find that the person who is doing that quality assurance is also of the same kind of thinking as the lecturer, that is what creates problems in this case. So, which means, like I said, it is a structural thing, and then we have to be fair and honest as professionals to say we want to create a situation where every learner is assessed fairly.
Are the hands of students tied in this regard, Professor? Because it's not like after they write exams, they can interact with the moderation or assessment process in any particular way. Should we be taking the final results of your assessment as the word that it should, that's exactly how it was, that's how you did? Or should we be more critical about the assessment process and the marks that come afterwards?
What I know is that I think this is an isolated situation, even though it does happen, but it is not happening in many universities. So which means that the final results in most cases should be believable. But then if there are concerns or if there are anomalies that are identified, there are university processes where students can lodge and ask for a remark, or they can lodge an appeal to say, I'm not happy with this. But the problem is that not all students are exposed to that. So it is up to us to reflect and the university to create systems that are so tight that those anomalies are prevented even before the students write examinations. Because if they write examination, the moderator is already chosen, the markers are already appointed, so which means the process just goes on like that. So we need to do it prior, because even the question papers themselves, the moderator has to moderate it before, so which means the university already knows who is the moderator and who's going to also moderate the scripts.
Yeah. This is an interesting case that is being scrutinized by Parliament and also by UCT in itself. What can we learn from this, especially the fact that now we are 30 years into our democracy and we still see these issues around racialized conflict management systems within universities still not being sorted out or being under question?
You see, what is the problem? It is the assumptions people make that professionals or academics, just like a magic wand, they will change. It will change overnight. It will take some time. We need to have these conversations, difficult conversations about this in our conferences or wherever we are, because we do observe this. But what is important for me is that when we've observed a malpractice, we need to deal with that rather than simply allow it to happen as it is. Because if you compare previously disadvantaged universities, let me say those from TB, UC states, and the ones that are in affluent places, you'll find that the practices are different in that case. That tells us that there is still something wrong happening here, and we need to be fair and honest and have this kind of discussions, not just assume that because Mudau is a professional and then it's going to be professional like that. Personal beliefs and where we come from, they create these biases, and we need to acknowledge and say we need to be doing something about this.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for helping us unpack this conversation, Professor. It's a very intriguing one, especially because we see this education as the future of the country, the future of these individuals who want to make a success of themselves. And the fact that there is, even if it's the slightest, way for biases to impact these individuals' futures, that's something to really look deeply into. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Okay, no, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, that was our guest, Professor Awelani Mudau, National Research Foundation rated full professor in the Department of Science and Technology Education at the University of South Africa. What's your take on that one? Stay engaged with us on our WhatsApp, +2763 406 9126. Remember also, don't forget that live stream. It's happening for the next few moments that we're still in studio. So stay in touch with us on our Facebook page, and you'll find our live stream there, or our YouTube page using the handle @Channel Africa 1. It's 10:30 Central African time. It's sports time.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
And a very good morning from the sports desk. I am Musibu Dimakura with your latest sports news at the Sawa. So the South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport have confirmed that Springbok prop Asinanti Ntlabakanye has not been suspended and would not have been in breach should he had been selected for the box tour of New Zealand. So a Springbok press release on Sunday confirmed that the two-time test tight head prop had provided an adverse analytical finding during testing by the South African Institute of Drug-Free Sport. The statement went on to say that Ntlabakanye would not go on tour with the Springboks. Now, the South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport Chief Executive Officer Khalid Khaland has confirmed that Ntlabakanye is not provisionally suspended in terms of the anti-doping rules, as is normally the case. The date for Ntlhabakanye's hearing must still be set, and I guess we'll be watching very closely as to when that hearing will be confirmed by the South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport. On to more rugby news. It's back to business now for the South African Springbok women's side, and it was so yesterday as preparations intensified for their pivotal Pool D showdown against Italy at the Women's Rugby World Cup yesterday. So training at the St. John Community University in York, the squad showed sharpness as well as spirit, with assistant coach Franzel September praising their intensity as well as technique. Victory this coming Sunday would secure a top 2 finish and a guaranteed spot in the quarterfinals, making this clash a defining moment in the South African team campaign. Now, September says the team has reset after their emphatic win over Brazil this past weekend, with all eyes now locked on the Italian challenge.
Oh, look, we scored some tries from the set piece, especially from our line-out and our scrums as well. However, there's 1 or 2 opportunities that we missed that we need to rectify. We pride ourselves on our mauling game. So we do want to get some more tries over this weekend. That's why we're here. But we know that the threat that Italy gave us as well. So we're looking forward to that challenge. But the focus for today was on ourselves, get ourselves ready. Yeah.
Meanwhile, September speaks more about the team's preparations ahead of Sunday's showdown against the Italians.
When we came here, we said everyone had good quality time to prep. They had good warm-ups as well. So I think everyone are going to give them a fair chance with the way they prepped. We're not going to underestimate any team here. We're not going to take the title as underdogs as well, because we're here to win a World Cup.
On to some tennis news now. Iga Swiatek advanced to the second round of the US Open for the loss of just 3 games, beating the world number 84 Emiliana Arango 6-1 and 6-2 on Tuesday. Swiatek, a US Open champion back in 2022, broke the Colombian Arango twice in each set and didn't face a single break point on her own serve, closing out this one-sided affair in just 61 minutes. The Polish second seed, who claimed a maiden Wimbledon crown in July before winning the recent Cincinnati Open, will face off with the Netherlands' Suzanne Lamens in the next round for a place in the third round of the final Grand Slam tournament of the year. And finally, in golf news, the winner of the 2026 Investec South African Open will receive an invitation to the 2026 Masters Tournament, as well as a place on one of the 2 most iconic stages in the game. So the Sunshine Tour announced on Tuesday that Augusta National Golf Club has, as part of its 2026 qualifications, confirmed a place in its field for the winner of the 2026 Investec South African Open, which will be played at Stellenbosch Golf Club from the 26th of February to the 1st of March in South Africa's Western Cape province. Now, further to this, the RNA has also stated its intention now to retain the 2026 Investec South African Open as part of the Open qualifying series for the 154th Open at Royal Birkdale. The National Open will also now be the direct pathway into 2 of the most iconic majors in the game for the Sunshine Tour members. That's a wrap from the Sports Desk at the Sawa. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email. That's to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Alternatively, give us a call. The newsroom line is +27 11714 4459. I'm back with the final sports update for the morning in the third and final hour of On the Move. The time has just gone 10:35 a.m. Central African Time for Channel Africa Sport. I am Musibu Di Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Are you fluent in French, Chinyanja, Portuguese, and Kiswahili? Are you passionate about radio? And are you looking to work in South Africa? Do you have papers that qualify you to work in South Africa? In that case, we might have an opportunity for you to work for Channel Africa. Send us your CV and demo at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember, if you don't hear from us within 14 days, it means you have not made it or you have not been selected. Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
Hey, Buntle Hetbush joins us right now to give us our business.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thanks, Benjamin. Good morning. In our top story this morning, Russia has dangled the possibility of building a nuclear power plant in uranium-rich Niger, a vast arid state on the edge of the Sahara Desert that has to import most of its electricity. Niger has historically exported its uranium for further refining in France, but this is changing as a military-led country cuts off ties with the former colonial power. Niger's government nationalized the uranium mining operation operated by French nuclear group Orano in June, which cleared the way for Russia to put itself forward as a new partner. If it's brought to fruition, this would be the first nuclear power project in West Africa. A poll by France's LCI TV shows that some 63% of French people want the country's parliament to be dissolved and for new elections to be held. This as Prime Minister François Bayrou battles to save his minority government. Bayrou's minority government looks increasingly likely to be ousted next month after three main opposition parties said that they would not back him in a confidence vote, which Bayrou announced for September 8 over his plans for sweeping budget cuts. This political uncertainty has hit French stocks and bonds this week. U.S. President Donald Trump's threats to double the tax on most imports from India has just come into effect. Smartphones and pharmaceuticals are exempt. Trump imposed 50% tariffs to punish one of the world's largest economies over its purchases of discounted Russian oil, risking the inflicting of significant damage on the Indian economy. The BBC's Davina Gupta reports.
It's a heavy blow for Indian exporters, with most goods now facing the harshest ever tariffs of 50% to enter the American market. Earlier this month, Washington had already raised duties to 25%, accusing India of selling far more to the US than it buys. Now President Trump has doubled the rate, punishing New Delhi for buying Russian oil. India imports most of its crude, and last year nearly 40% came from Russia, which Mr. Trump says is helping to fund the war in Ukraine.
Oil prices have remained steady today after falling in the previous session. Analysts say this is because investors are watching for fresh developments in the Ukraine war and are weighing these new hefty U.S. tariffs on India, the world's third biggest crude oil consumer. Brent crude futures fell 9 cents to $67.13 per barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude futures were down 8 cents to $63.17 a barrel. Brent crude continues to hold steady at that $67.13 level at this hour. And this leads us into the indicators this morning. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,534 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 32. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 46. And in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 31. Moving to the BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 rial 42. Russia, 80 rubles 47. India, 87 rupees 65. China, 7 yuan 15. And South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 62 cents at this hour. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading slightly higher at this hour at $3,384 per ounce, and platinum at $1,332 per ounce, while the price of Brent crude oil, as mentioned earlier, is at $67.13 a barrel. And those are your business news. I'll be back with more in the next hour. Business news. like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459 for Channel Africa Business. I am Bontle Headbush.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. The KwaZulu-Natal Convention Bureau, in collaboration with Milvest Advisory and the city of Mhlathuze, brings you the 2025 Tourism Investment Forum, Africa. By positioning these regions for sustainable growth, TIFA helps drive their economic ambitions while providing access to critical capital, networks, and strategic insights on investments in the trade services sector, such as tourism. Join us for the TIFA 2025 from August 27 to 29 at Tembela Venue, Richards Bay, KZN, South Africa. Be part of the movement transforming tourism and infrastructure in Africa.
Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa
On the move.
Annie Kalonji sur Channel Africa.
Nous allons à présent dérouler notre thème.
It's Chris with the drama boy.
Kutoka Manzabe, picha twazi twanga kisera, posti insta wanga kwa kera, baada ya chali kimoko. Cause I just wanna let them know I'm African beauty. African beauty. You're my African beauty. You're my African beauty. Kutoka Mazabe, picha twaze twanga kisera, posti insta wanga kwa kera, ataja vikemoko. Cause I just wanna let them know African beauty. African beauty. You're my African beauty. You're my African beauty. And you know it is up to be the one that takes you high. Timwili chumbani kila kona, benzi tali pamba ngojera, uba kama tanga sekera, kwa vino vya paikoko. Kutoka Manzabe, picha twazi twanga kisera, posti insta wanga kwa kera, baada ya chali kimoko. Cause I just wanna let them know I'm African beauty. Oh, you're mine, yes, you're mine, African beauty. Are you nice? I'm in love with you. There's nothing that wouldn't do.
I think think that song is about you.
Ah, Benji. This was Diamond Platinums featuring Omarion with African Beauty. I was about to do my link and then Ben just made me blush. Ben.
All right, let's move on.
All right, we're going into TikTok and, very interesting things are going there.
Sure.
And I love the challenges. I've made you dance a few times. That's not what we're doing today. You can relax.
No dancing.
But we are going to have a little bit of fun today. There's been a sound that's been going around by T-Pain. It's an old song, but the sound has been used for people to just give us some of maybe their quirky opinions about anything. And they've been using the sound to do this. So we're going to listen to examples of how this works. And maybe you and I are going to have a go at this. So this is the sound, and this is how some people have been using it. Listen to this.
How you gon' walk up in this house with some Chipotle and now bring me some too?
No, man. Oh, wow.
All right. That's one example. I'll give you another one just so you can wrap your head around it. Let's listen to another example of how you can use the sound.
Sure.
If he did it to his ex, what makes you think he's not gonna do it to
Oh, wow.
you?
Okay.
Do it to you. What makes you?
Wow.
Okay. Do you get it?
They are T-Paining.
Right? Yeah, they're T-Paining. So, na 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 na.
Okay, but we need the sound as well. You don't have the sound.
Okay, I have the sound. Okay, let's play the sound so that we can
start
practice,
and give
right?
me some inspiration.
Okay, we're not going to start yet. Let's play the sound so we can wrap our head around it. Because I felt like I practiced, right?
Okay.
So play the sound for us.
Is that all that plays?
No. And then it's gonna drop. So first you have to speak without, and the empty part, and then it's gonna drop.
Okay, one more time. Let's hear it.
One more time. Na 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 na.
Okay, you go first, buddy. You go first.
Okay. I'm ready. Let's go. I'm gonna start. You work hard for your money. You should probably use it just for you. You, just for you.
But no.
You.
No.
Why?
You must use that quirky voice.
Okay.
You can't.
We don't have that.
No, for you.
Okay, I'm gonna try.
We need the T-Pain sound.
Okay.
The T-Pain energy.
Okay, let's try again.
Yeah.
You work hard for your money. You need to use it for you too. You, just for you. You.
There we go. You know I'm not doing this, right?
You are doing it. No ways. So, Benji, are you ready? It's your turn to go.
I don't know what to say though.
I know.
Okay, let's see. Let's go. I'm a new dad. I got swagger every day. Day.
What about the sound?
Yeah.
No. Stop the music. We're going to do it again. You're going to give us that T-Pain sound. Are we ready to try again?
Okay, let's try
go.
Again. Okay. Let's T-Pain it. I'm a new father. I got so much swag. No, that was stupid, man. You always make me do these stupid things on your TikTok feature.
But we're having a good time. Have you tried this particular trend? Let us know. +27 634 069 And of course, you'll see this on our TikTok at Channel Africa 1.
Darubini ya Afrika na I am Henry Shakif.
Unadhani kunaweza kuchangia kwa namna gani ili kuweza kurejesha mauzo ya biashara hiyo ya chai?
Inasemekana kwamba kuna ile kamati ama kamati imeweza kuundwa ikiongozwa na mmoja wa viongozi wa taifa la Iran, na inasemekana kwamba itaanza kazi mara moja na kutafuta vile biashara kati ya Kenya na Iran itaweza kuenda haswa kwa mauzo ya chai.
Siku 60 ni chache sana katika kuweza kuamua jambo au maamuzi. Unadhani litaweza kufanikiwa?
Tukitazama kwa undani, nchi ya Iran imeweza kupigwa marufuku haswa na nchi ya Marekani kwa mambo mengi ya kibiashara, na ndio kidogo wameanza kujaribu kutafuta pale popote watakaweza kupata bidhaa.
Darubini ya Afrika 11 kamili hadi 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa
On the move.
Baby, follow my command, like zombie. Go down on me, you with your coca body. Follow my command, like zombie. Go down on me, you with your coca body. Cause this your milky for front enough for me. Hold on for me, I no go do me corny. And if you're milky na fighty, I saw me to look. Baby, gonna waka waka when you enter my licha. Baby, gonna will you give me sugar? Wala ala. Macho Mona Lisa, 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 Macho Mona Lisa. Macho Mona Lisa, Macho Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa, I go sweep you off your feet. What up, so she said make some time for me, time for me. See for this like me and you tap like hush puppy. We walking next there, please show them your best. Baby, hope you know you light to my day. Girl, you know you're all that I need. Give me your love, you can't run away. I can't deny. One bag of man, them one come try. But my love just takes you high. All them I talk about you and I. Nobody listen to them now. I get butterflies when I see ya. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. If I'm in love, it's for a reason. Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Gonna waka waka when you enter my licha. Baby, gonna will you give me sugar? Wala ala. Macho Mona Lisa, 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 Macho Mona Lisa.
It's Mona Lisa, Lo J featuring Saz and Chris Brown on this one. Yeah, you guys love to just watch us making a fool of ourselves on
No,
the show.
you like watching me make a fool out of myself.
I do. But the good thing is that I also participate in the foolery.
Yeah, but you look much better.
I don't. Well, that was a fun one indeed. But we're still talking about a conversation we had earlier on the assessment process. It's actually quite tricky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now imagine I put an answer on my exam paper, and just because it's not, in line with what your perceptions or your lived experiences or your personal biases are, you mark me low, and you'd mark someone who has similar experiences to you, similar perceptions, similar biases to you higher than me. That's a tricky one.
Yeah, but also, when it comes to exams,
Yeah.
do you actually double check? Like, let's say someone marks your stuff. Would you naturally go double check your exam?
Hardly. I'll tell you, when I was back in varsity, I hardly used to check. I would just take, whatever they said was my mark as word, and then, do what I need to do next.
Because I don't even remember getting my exam paper back, my final exam paper back.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, this is the result, so I must take it for what it is.
That's it. So should we be taking those exam marks as what it is? I just wonder, in the UCT issue, the University of Cape Town issue that's currently taking place, how long did it take for these students, the black students in question, they have done something fishy here? Why are things so different for us versus that they are for the white students in this institution?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. What's your take on that? Give us your thoughts on that WhatsApp number. We'd love to hear from you. Hey, if you want to know what that WhatsApp number is, it's +2763 406 9126. We've got so many engaging conversations that are still coming up, and we're looking forward to them. Do stay with us right here on Channel Africa.
The rhythm of Africa, the pulse of the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa
On the move.
I'ma get no be so. Yeah, you won't capture my soul. I'ma get no be so. Make you one wumbo lumbo. Beru, bye. Beru, bye. I'm loose. Even Peru done the para. Tonight in Josie, I'm in Josie. Won't if you one Josie. I'm not playing with you, I'm not joking. My thought of mom is loaded. Me, you can fight, but I'm on duty, but I'm on low-key. They want do me, they want do me, cause they want. When you won't want me, I'm in San Francisco, Jammy. When you won't want me, I just flew in from Miami. Peru, para, I'm loose. Even Peru done the para.
Pour out the bottle, I wanna level up. When I'm with you, I never get enough. Slow wine, I'm not in a rush. I can hear music when you're here. Tonight we're rolling, party till closing. Since I put the ring on the finger, it's still frozen. Love in slow motion, I wanna feel you over me, yeah. Certain magic in your eyes, yeah. Girl, I love the way you ride it. And it happens every time you arrive, that's right. Girl, I want you in my life, yeah. There's a heaven and it's right here, yeah. I will never leave your side, stay tonight. When you won't see me, I'm in West London this evening, giving me the feelings, no I'm not leaving, till I fly LA next weekend. Peru, nah, girl I'd rather go find somewhere quiet. You glow, and I get lost here in your eyes. I'm again, I'll be so, girl you just capture my soul. I'm again, I'll be so.
Hey, that's Fireball, hang out with Ed Sheeran, and that one amassed them about 5 billion streams on all platforms, and that one is titled Peru, and we're moving into a cool subject matter, and I think this one is one that we tried talking about earlier on, and we didn't reach the point of where we wanted to get to at that point.
It was very complicated.
Yeah, because we're talking about infertility, and you're like, oh, this is not a cool subject matter. But what we were talking about that makes it very interesting is that we wanted to see, okay, there are many couples that go through the journey of infertility, and then finally they overcome it and they get pregnant, and making that transition psychologically as parents but also as couples is not an easy one. We didn't get to that point, but we really focused on the stages of infertility and working as a couple to overcome that.
So that's going to be part 2 of the conversation, where we're speaking about couples who undergo fertility treatment and what happens when they've overcome the treatment itself, gotten a child, but some of the psychological and interactional issues issues that they would face once they do have that child. So we're going into that part 2 of that conversation in the next hour of the show. That's through our Live Well feature.
Yeah, it's a very emotional one, and I'm sure that if it's sensitive for you as well, if you feel like it's going to trigger you as well, you should also be sensitive and note that as well. But it's okay. You can join us because we're speaking to a good professional. So I'm not saying switch off. I'm saying just be sensitive to your feelings as well. But we'll be speaking to a clinical psychologist, Sipesihle Dlamini. So I think we are in a safe space to speak about it. So don't go anywhere. Do stay with us right here on Channel Africa. We're moving into our final hour. It's 1100 hours Central African time. Let's get the latest news.
Keeping you on the know and on the move. SABC News. The African perspective.
Thank you, Benjamin. Looking at your top stories. South Africa's Electoral Commission discusses election preparedness and varying reactions to Botswana's State of Public Health Emergency Declaration. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. South Africa's general elections will take place any time between November 2nd, 2026 and January 31, 2027. The country's Electoral Commission Chief Executive Officer, Sai Mamabulo, has reported the registration of 34 new political parties since the 2024 general election, bringing the total to 472. Only 18 parties currently hold seats in Parliament. Mamabulo has confirmed that municipal councils' 5-year terms will end in November 2026. The Commission will hold information sessions for political parties and independent candidates starting in November this year. Mamabulo explains.
So as we prepare for the 2026 elections, citizens are reminded to register to vote in voting districts of the world where they are resident. A registered voter who has moved since they last registered is urged to check and, if necessary, to update their address details to ensure that they are registered in a ward linked to their new place of residence. Voters may register, inspect, and update their details by visiting registertovote.elections.org.za.
Media Monitoring Africa says cases aimed at silencing investigative journalism focused on exposing corruption in the private and public sectors are increasingly becoming common. The High Court in Johannesburg, South Africa will today hear an urgent application by businessman and philanthropist Colin Mashawana. He will face off in court against the prominent news publication Daily Maverick and journalist Peter Louis Mayberg. Mashawana is seeking an urgent gag order to halt the outlet's report on alleged corruption tied to him and his foundation. He claims the Daily Maverick's articles are defamatory and aimed at publicly shaming him. Media Monitoring Africa Director William Bird.
Very often these efforts are made in order to try and silence and censor the journalists. This is otherwise known as a weaponization of the courts. This is strategic litigation against public participation, and that's effectively where you have a powerful person that seeks to try and use the law in order to stop and censor someone or a group of people from going out there and telling their story. And so it seems to be completely outrageous that you've got someone who's in a position of power who's been exposed for wrongdoing, who's, instead of trying to spin it their own way, it's going and threatening media and trying to silence them. It also seems utterly futile to be doing it in a context where the story's already out there.
Judges Matters Advocacy Organization in South Africa says the suspension of Justice Department Director General Advocate Dr. Mashabane and Deputy Director General Jabu Hlachwayo of the ICT Division was unexpected. This follows their failure to ensure the Madlanga Commission could start as scheduled on the 1st of next month. A new date for the commencement of the Commission of Inquiry into Criminality, Political Interference and Corruption is not yet known. A full investigation and disciplinary process are underway. Judges Meta Research and Advocacy Officer Mbigezeli Benjamin says Justice Minister Mamuloko Kubai's decision to place the two senior officials in immediate suspension could be hasty.
Accountability is always a good thing. So it's important to see steps
towards accountability being taken. However, in the context of this issue, we don't really have enough detail to check whether it is in fact a correct decision to suspend two very senior officials over issues relating to procurement, especially because the commission was only announced a few weeks ago, and it would have been expected that it would take a bit of time to get the system set up. And so it's quite surprising to see that within a few days that these two senior officials are suspended over lapses that relate to procurement for the commission.
Political parties in Botswana have reacted differently to the declaration of the state of public health emergency in the landlocked country. President Dumaboko made the announcement yesterday following widespread reports of shortage of medical supplies in public clinics and hospitals. Government has set up a fund worth a little over 6 billion rands and tasked Botswana Development Corporation with the responsibility of securing that amount through local and international investments. This first batch of medical supplies left the capital Gaborone, going to remote areas where soldiers will be responsible for their distribution. Dr. Alfred Marigele of Botswana Democratic Party says this shows collapse of governance in the country.
This has compromised our fight against HIV/AIDS. It has compromised our fight against NCDs, as this has been demonstrated by lack of access to proper services. The government has been sitting on this problem since the beginning of this year. We are not talking about like a natural disaster or a pandemic like COVID. We are talking about man-made problems emanating from lack of structure, lack of coordination, and lack of control. Our position is the government would want to suspend laws to do what they want to do. This should have gone through parliament, like previously when this was done. It had to go through parliament.
However, Dr. Patrick Malotsi of the Umbrella for Democratic Change has welcomed the decision by the government.
The background to this is that we have been running short of medicines for quite a number of months. This is the problem that emanates from the time the UDC government came to power, and fundamentally we have been short of a number of critical items, including medicines. So the president's step is a fundamental one, very important to alleviate the situation which was deteriorating in our health facilities and hospitals.
Recapping on your top story, South Africa's general elections will take place any time between November 2nd, 2026 and January 31, 2027. The country's Electoral Commission Chief Executive Officer, Simon Mabulo, has reported the registration of 34 new political parties since the 2024 general election. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Nsinsi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Hey, you know why I love what we do? We hold each other's hands here, and at times the conversations that come, hold my hand,
Benji.
yeah. And what we do is we try to make the conversations that are difficult a little bit easier to hold space for them and make them easier to navigate. And what makes them easier is that we do bring in professionals to chat a little bit about them, because at times you can have these conversations, but you just don't have the right professional help around it. And we're going to be speaking about the transition from infertility to pregnancy as a couple. How do you work around that?
Yeah, not all conversations can be casual. And that's the beautiful thing about, going into different spaces to learn new things and to have conversations that impact a lot of people out there. Last week, we had a conversation about infertility treatment, and we looked at it both from a medical but also a psychological perspective. But we didn't finish the conversation conversation because it's important to speak about what happens when the couple who has undergone infertility treatment finally have their child, their baby. There's still a lot of struggles that they need to go through, and we're bringing in the psychologist that we had last week in this conversation to continue this one for us.
Yeah, it's a good one, and we're going to help each other on this one and understand also, in areas of differences that we don't know of, and many of the times we don't understand the journey of infertility, but also when a couple actually gets a child, we also sometimes insensitive around some of the emotional journey they still have to carry throughout that. But that's coming up just in a few minutes' time.
Africa in Song with Chanduko Ligege.
So when you think of African music, you think of Kwasa Kwasa, high life music from West Africa, Afrobeat from West Africa, of gospel music or faith music or spiritual music. But when we think of reggae music, we go to the Caribbean, and if it's Africa, we only think about Lucky Dube. Well, I'm here to introduce you to some reggae music from Africa. Salif Keita with Dakan Faye from Mali, and I must say this one was a real shock for me because I never had imagined Salif Keita on a reggae beat, but listening to him, it just proved to me how versatile he is as an artist, because you'd be expecting him to be on that vibe of West Africa, but he really proved that he is very versatile, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Africa in Song with Chanduko Ligege. The Midnight Snack, 12 to 3 a.m.
Young couples or young people that are getting married, we often hear of divorces, that they're getting divorced, and it's quite worrying because when we attend these weddings, we want to see these people flourish and celebrate 30-year anniversaries. What do you think is the main challenge that is facing newlyweds?
We say that tell me how you were raised and I'll tell you how you love. So when we see people getting married, that's not where the relationship actually starts. The relationship starts with how you were raised, what you were familiar with, because we are attracted to what we are familiar with. If you don't have a background where love was prominent, where love was authentic, it's going to be very difficult for you to manufacture that in later life. So our upbringing has something to do with it.
The Midnight Snack, every Monday, 12 to 3 a.m. with Chanduko Ligege.
Hashtag on the move
And connect with us.
All right, this is part 2 of our Live Well conversation, and for many, the path to parenthood is filled with hope, and it is one that is a joyous journey. But for those facing prolonged infertility, it can also be a journey of emotional and physical strain. And when they finally become parents, the joy is profound, but it can also come with lingering fears, heightened vigilance, and the challenge of adjusting to parenthood after such a long and uncertain journey. Life after infertility can have a unique mix of relief, gratitude, and the ongoing work of healing and bonding. We talk about what parents go through during this period, the emotional highs and lows, the coping strategies that work, and the ways to embrace parenthood fully after years of waiting. Sipesihle Dlamini is back on the show. She did a fantastic job last week as we were talking about infertility. That was our first part. We're entering into the second part with her. Sipesihle is a clinical psychologist. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back, Benjamin and Palesa. Good morning, good morning. I hope you guys are good.
Good morning.
Yeah, we are very good. Okay, let's start this one because, last week we're supposed to come to this point, but you know what? It's a sensitive issue. We couldn't just rush through it because there's so many things to consider. Let's talk a little bit about where we are now with this conversation. Once a couple has overcome infertility and they get the news of that they are pregnant, I'm sure the initial stages are the ones that are sensitive because that's when you're not sure where the pregnancy is going to go. And that could have many psychological implications.
Yes, that is true. I always say on the other side of any challenge or adversity, we find two types of people. On the one side, we find people who, despite the challenges, are going to thrive. On the other hand, we find people who are gonna struggle, and largely the people who are gonna struggle, it's a mix of things. It's not just the struggle of having of getting pregnant. It's a history of multitude of other struggles that then bring about how one then copes with this current struggle of having been with infertility and then finally having a child. So then how they cope with the news of I have a child now, it's on the one side, it's the excitement, but then on the other side, it's the fear of, but I've struggled so much to get this child. How will I carry this pregnancy? Will I see this child to full term? When I this child, what are the challenges thereafter? So the brain then goes on a spiral of what if onlys, and once the brain goes spiraling, it becomes very challenging for some people, largely because of, like I said, a multitude of other issues based from biology, psychology, social factors that influence how people then cope with issues, adversities. So we have
Yes. Apologies there. These two times in this couple's life, they interact in a very strange way because they've already gone through, I'm sure, a multitude of emotions during the fertility treatment process itself. Sometimes so much so that they may even be on the brink of a breakup because of the emotions. Now, coming from there and having to be joyful that the child is here doesn't really take away some of the experiences and emotions that the couple would have gone through during the treatment process itself, right?
No, it doesn't. In fact, it influences how then the couple see each other in the journey, because now when they're pregnant, they're starting a new phase. They have overcome the phase of infertility and they are now starting a phase of we are going to be parents. But now each partner is then going to reflect on who am I parenting with, based on how each partner was during their journey to falling pregnant in the first place. So then how the partners were treating each other, how the support looked like in the journey of infertility is going to largely influence how one then trusts the partner into, am I going to trust this person to partner with me? Am I going to trust this person to be able to support me emotionally or in any other aspects of my life during this journey when I'm pregnant and when I give birth? Because now they have an experience of this partner either not being supportive during the journey, how they've changed and how they showed up for them or for each other during the journey of infertility. Because then you can judge a person a lot by how they treat you during the challenging times or the challenging phases in your relationships, to say then when it's good, but now I have a not so great experience of you or your lack of support during times when I really needed you. Are you gonna be consistent in your absence, or are you gonna change?
Yeah, that's so powerful that you say that, because there's so many things to navigate, and of course all relationships look differently. There are those who handle these situations in a more coupling way, where they very much working in a more positive way together. But there's also that stage of stress, right, to make sure that the pregnancy itself is healthy. And that's also something you can't control, right? It's beyond you. And but I've heard that stress can be a determining factor, especially for couples who've struggled.
Yes. So when we look at couples, or when we look at any patient for that matter, we look at what are the factors that are building blocks to how this person is going to cope with the next phase or whatever challenge or the phase they're in life. And one of the factors we look in is to the biological factors. So like what you're saying now is stress, because remember, stress then becomes building blocks for even the fetus as you are pregnant, because all those hormones also go into the baby, go into the mother. We know that during pregnancy, there's a lot of hormonal imbalances. So all of those then become contributing factors into the woman's state of being physically, into how they carry this pregnancy and the complications they might face thereafter based on the amount of stress and adversities that they are facing. And that is above and beyond the psychological and social factors outside of the actual like hormonal changes that are happening during the course of the pregnancy.
How important?
So we always say,
sure, you were saying? No, continue. You were saying, just wrap up there.
I was saying that's why it's important then, for when the moment we realize that something is wrong, we're not feeling great, we're not feeling positive, we're not having a positive outlook on where we are, seek help when there's enough time or early enough intervention for us to actually help and manage in the early stages.
You see, it's good to be a good listener, because that's what I was going to ask you next, in terms of how important is it to have that therapy support as a couple moving together into that stage, because I think it's easier when we are in moments of distress that are visible, like during the infertility stages. But once you have the child, you feel like, now we're okay, she's pregnant, we're moving on. That period, is it also important maybe to consider continuing therapy?
It is. It's very important, because remember, once negative thoughts start coming in, the brain, I always tell my patients, the brain has a tendency of trying to fight you in trying to maintain and feed the actual negative thoughts, so that it makes you more prone to stress or depression. So the moment we realize that we're not having a positive outlook, we're not having a healthy experience with our pregnancy, seek help then, because in the early stages of awareness of this is not I'm not having a positive outlook, then interventions becomes easier without medication during your pregnancy. But also, as a couple, it becomes important for them to come together, so that we teach both parties, because remember, just because the woman is the one who's pregnant and carrying the baby, the husband plays a very important role in supporting, because after the pregnancy, you're building an experience for your partner, you're building an experience for your child, to say, how reliable are you to me? How reliable are you going to be as a head of household, as a father figure for my child? And you want to minimize as much stress for your partner as possible by being able to show up and learning new ways in how to show up for your partner, and ultimately for your children and your household.
Okay, specifically, we're going to go for a break. Stay there with us. We're speaking to Palesa Dlamini, a clinical psychologist. It's our part 2 of this conversation in our Live Well feature, where we're looking at life after infertility. How do you process that, especially if you are a couple that has got the great news that you are now pregnant? Other things to focus on post that, and that's the subject matter of today. What's your take on it? Give us your thoughts via our WhatsApp number.
She builds, she leads, she rises. This August, join Channel Africa in celebrating the women who shape our communities, shift narratives, and carve out a future on their own terms.
These women together ought to be able to turn it right again.
From Cape Town to Kigali, Lagos to Lusaka, African women are rewriting the script. Here's to courage, creativity, and unstoppable progress. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Palesa and Benjamin fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
It's part 2 of our conversation on a couple that experiences infertility treatment, and going into the conversation of what happens once that couple falls pregnant and become parents. We're speaking to Palesa Dlamini, who's a clinical psychologist. Started the conversation with us last week and helping us sort of wrap it up on a good note this week as well. So Palesa, what is the expected sort of emotional cycle that this particular couple is going through? What can they expect when it comes to the emotions that they'll all, the psychological interactions they'll have to deal with from the process of infertility treatment to them being pregnant, and of course, all the way up to when they actually have the child?
So I always say expect high highs and low lows. And mids, which is to say you never know. One day you're going to wake up, you're going to have a positive outlook about this pregnancy. You're going to be excited about it. You're going to make plans. The next day you might feel low, because then you wake up and you have all these thoughts coming in, flooding in, and they making you question your choices, and they're making you question where you are. They're making you doubt your experience. They're making you doubt how long you're going to be able to carry this baby. And then there are days where you just bleh. And you just like, you know what, I'm gonna go with the flow. It is what it is, and you're not active. You become passive in your engagement with this pregnancy.
Yeah.
So as a couple, I say be mindful of each other, because you won't always be maybe excited about the pregnancy at the same time, and so be able to support your partner when they are at their lows while you are at your high. And this you do by being mindful of how they feel, being mindful of where they are, whether it's the guy supporting the woman because you don't understand where each person is with their journey into processing where you are in your pregnancy.
Yeah.
So being mindful of each other, being able to support each other, ask each other, what do you need from me today? What can I do for you?
Yeah.
How can I help you today? Do you need anything? Reassurance goes a long way from each other, because then you're constantly reinforcing, and that reinforcement challenges any negative cognitive thoughts. These are the negative thoughts that one might have. So reinforcing and being able to show up in support is able to then challenge these negative thoughts, to show your partner that, oh, actually, this is a beautiful experience. This is an exciting experience. Like the gynecologist said last week, things like, let's schedule a photo shoot.
Yeah.
Let's go together to buy clothes for the baby. As a guy, being able to say, oh, let's go together, so that I also learn which nappies to buy, which bottle to get, because sometimes it becomes a woman's only responsibility to know these things. But if your partner is able to show up and show you that I'm in this with you 100%, I want to know everything. I want to know how to change the nappies. So things like going for classes, how to take care of the baby, and as a woman or as a guy, that both of you are well equipped to be able to take care of this baby, from changing nappies to feeding. And not just because the woman is breastfeeding that then now the toll becomes on her, but as a partner, that I can look to my partner on days when I'm low and I'm struggling. I know my partner has the capacity to take care and fit in and filled in on days when I'm unable to show up.
Yeah, it's a coupling journey, isn't it? It's really about holding each other's hands and making sure that as a couple, you're getting that support. But also, do you bring in others as well in this journey? I always wonder about that, on how you can get more support than each other. Because at times we walk the journey on our own as couples. But in this difficult transition, I'm sure the support of those outside of your relationship, being a couple, is also important.
Yes, that's when then the society in raising a child comes in.
Yeah.
Because you can support each other so much, but sometimes you need external factors outside of you to say, where can I go to get support when, at the household right now, I'm not good enough, or I don't feel like I'm good enough. Then let me go out somewhere. Let me go speak to my friends. Let me go speak to my parents. Let me go speak to my siblings. Let me create a community for me and my partner and my child to say, when we are unable to, we have an aunt, we have an uncle, we have a mamkulu, we have someone else outside of us who's going to be able to show up for us, who's also going to be able to show up for our child, so that we don't feel like we're walking this journey alone and there's no one else out there. So we're trying to always say couples must not feel like they're in a desert in their parenting. Community is very important. So reach out to your siblings, reach out to your friends, rope them in. But also remember, to be a communer, you also have to be a community member as well. So people are going to show up for you as much as you also been able to show up for others. So in this journey of life, it's we're feeding off each other, and we need to nurse relationships so that we are able to show up for others and others are able to show up for us in terms of need.
That is so true.
Yeah,
this sounds like
I've
a
got
roller
a question
coaster
for this
ride.
one.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pali, because imagine now bring others in.
Yeah.
Must you be discerning in that? Because look, there's people that have always expected that, hey, we want this child.
Yes.
As much as you also have that pressure to have that child. And during that journey, they were almost like the pressure system. How do you bring those people in as well? Or do you have to be very selective in that? Because you know how much family demands that, hey, you must have this child. And at times that's where you don't know, do I bring these people in? Do I leave them out?
Because they've been part of the distress, right?
Distress, yeah.
So that's why being able to be discerning is important. You as an adult, as the couple, you're old. You've had relationships with these people, which is why I'm saying being able to show up for others is you then able to assess Who are these people? How do they show up? What's their personality like? What's their coping mechanisms like? Because you're not trying to expose yourself to toxicity in a time where it's already challenging for you. And you're not trying to expose your children once they're born to this level of toxicity. So boundaries become very important once you become a family. So just because you can have a nice time with, I'm using a student with Cynthia, doesn't mean then Cynthia becomes a healthy individual to introduce into your life and into your family.
Yeah.
So some relationships might break down. That's the reality, and that's part of the things that people must expect. Some relationships will be strengthened, but boundaries become important because then you as a couple, you've decided that this is what we want to build as a couple. This is what we want to build as a family. And these are the types of people we know can influence that and can help us build in that journey. And then you put necessary boundaries for people who are going to challenge that, who are going to make it more difficult for you. We're trying to alleviate as much stress as possible. And if that means minimizing some contact, it doesn't mean cut off people. We're not about the just cut off people without actually understanding. You need to fully understand the people you have around you so that you can reposition them appropriately so that they play a role that they're supposed to play and they don't interfere in areas of your life that they're not supposed to.
Okay, Spesita, this is the last part of this great 2-part series on this conversation. So really quickly, if there is one really important, just one, because we're almost out of time, one really important practical tool that this couple can use to make sure that they go through this journey together and hopefully enjoy their family as well.
I advocate for couples therapy. It goes a long way into teaching you how to be individuals and how to be a couple together, and in how to have goals, how to set boundaries with each other so that it teaches you how to coexist. In that way, you're already creating a solid foundation for yourselves as individuals and as a couple, so that by the time you have children, you're bringing them into a healthy foundation where it's goal orientated, it is protected, it has value, and you have already cultivated the necessary support. So couples therapy goes a long way. Individual therapy goes a long way to finding yourselves as individuals and then coming together as a couple.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Spesihle. Speaking about going to therapy, just quickly, where can we find you or where can people find you to interact with you further?
I am on the socials, Instagram, Mindworks. You can email us. You can check us also on Instagram at Mindworks Practice. I am also on social media. Unfortunately, my account is private for work purposes.
Yeah.
But find us on Mindworks. I'm currently on maternity leave. So
nice.
I have a baby.
Okay.
Well, enjoy.
Enjoy your maternity leave. Thank you so much for your time. That's clinical psychologist Spesihle Dlamini helping us with the part 2 of this conversation on couples undergoing infertility treatment and of course their process once they get pregnant and have that child. It's 11:31 Central Africa time. That was the Live Well feature. But for now, back to our sports desk with Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
And a very good morning from the sports desk. For the final time this morning, we'll start your sports bulletin with football news. So Morocco reached the final of the CHAN tournament. This after overcoming the holders, Senegal 5-3 on penalties following a tense 1-1 draw after extra time at the Nelson Mandela National Stadium in Kampala in Uganda on Tuesday night. So the Atlas Lions were winners back in 2018 as well as 2020 will face off with Madagascar in Saturday's final in Nairobi after the island nation had defeated Sudan earlier on in the other semi-final match. That match will be played at the Nairobi's Moi Sports Centre Kasarani, while Senegal will have to regroup for the third place playoff match against Sudan in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. For Morocco, though, it's a chance to reclaim continental dominance and join the record books with a third CHAN title. For Senegal, though, the dream of now defending their crown may have ended, but their youthful side left Kampala with dignity intact as well as optimism for the future. Meanwhile, Madagascar booked their place in a historic first ever CHAN final after edging out Sudan 1-0 in an extra time semi-final at the Benjamin Mkapa National Stadium in the city of Dar es Salaam in the country of Tanzania on Tuesday. So both nations were seeking a maiden appearance performance in the Chan final. The game unfolded with intensity as well as nerves. Madagascar semi-finalists back in 2022 faced a Sudanese side appearing in their third semi-final after previous heartbreaks in 2011 and in 2018. A late strike from substitute Toki Ratu Nondrabe in the 116th minute proved decisive, capping a dramatic extra-time contest and then sending the Berea into Saturday's final in Nairobi, where Morocco, lie in wait for that final. On to rugby news now. The South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport has confirmed that Springbok prop Asinati Ntlabakanye has not been suspended and would not have been in breach should he had been selected for the box tour to New Zealand. Now, a Springbok press release over the weekend confirmed that the two-test tight head probe had provided an adverse analytical finding during testing by the South African Institute of Drug-Free Sport. The statement went on to say that Ntlabakanye would no longer go on tour with the Springboks at that tour of New Zealand. Now, the South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport Chief Executive Officer Khalid Galant has confirmed that Ntlabakanye is not provisionally suspended in terms of the anti-doping rules, as is normally the case. Meanwhile, a date for Ntlabakanye's hearing must still be set by the South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport. In tennis news now, Alexander Zverev had to wait for play in his first round match at the 2025 US Open, but once he stepped on the court on Tuesday night in the Arthur Ashe Stadium, the German wasted little time. Zverev beat Alejandro Tabilo of Chile 6-2, 7-6 and 6-4 to wrap up an opening round that began with the tournament's first ever Sunday start. Aggressive from the baseline and brave in the biggest moments, Zverev fought off top-notch tennis at times from Tabilo to reach the US Open second round for a ninth time of asking, moving to 9-1 in the first round of play.
Yeah, no, it's great to see the love for tennis in New York every single year. I mean, it's almost 1 a.m. and it's a Tuesday, you know, it's not a Saturday night. So thanks for everybody that stayed. I mean, Coco had a fantastic match. So, you know, to be honest, I would have gone home after that match myself. But, you know, it's great to start a tournament with a night session on Arthur Ashe Stadium, the biggest stadium that we have in the world. And, you know, I'm looking forward to Thursday already.
And finally, in golf news, the winner of the 2026 Investec South African Open will receive an invitation to the 2026 Masters Tournament and a place in one of the most iconic stages in the game. The Sunshine Tour announced on Tuesday that Augusta National Golf Club has, as part of its 2026 qualifications, confirmed a place in its field for the winner of the 2026 Investec South African Open, which will be played in Stellenbosch at the golf club from the 26th of February to the 1st of March. Further to this, the RNA have also stated its intention to retain the 2026 Investec South African Open. This, of course, is part of the Open qualifying series for the 154th Open at Royal Birkdale. The National Open will now also be a direct pathway into two of the most iconic majors in the game of the Sunshine Tour members. Well, that is a wrap of your morning sports news right here on Channel Africa. As always, for any sports stories you'd like to share with us, send us an email. That's to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Give us a call. The newsroom line is +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa.
The African Perspective.
Africa in Song with Chanduko Ligege.
So when you think of African music, you think of Kwasa Kwasa, high life music from West Africa, Afrobeat from West Africa, of gospel music or faith music or spiritual music. But when we think of reggae music, we go to the Caribbean, and if it's Africa, we only think about Lucky Dube. Well, I'm here to introduce you to some reggae music from Africa. Salif Keita with Dakan Faye from Mali. And I must say, this one was a real shock for me because I never had imagined Salif Keita on a reggae beat. But listening to him, it just proved to me how versatile he is as an artist because you'd be expecting him to be on that vibe of West Africa, of ballads. But he really proved that he is very versatile, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Africa in Song with Chanduko Ligege. Channel Africa and you have got something in common. The thirst for knowledge.
All right, let's move on with Buntle and get our business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thanks, Benjamin, and good morning. And our final look at the business news this morning. Portugal's largest construction company, Morta Engel, says strong sales in Africa have helped to drive its 20% rise in net profit in the first half of this year, its highest increase ever. The company says its revenues in Africa jumped 59% to hit just over $1.2 billion, powered by big projects in Nigeria and Angola. Overall sales growth was just 0.5%, weighed down by an 18% drop in Europe. The company says it's now leaning to expansion where demand is strongest. The Congress of South African Trade Unions, biggest union, has threatened to push back if its members are forced to accept early retirement packages, which it called forced retrenchments. Speaking at the National Bargaining Conference on the east of Johannesburg, President of the National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union, NAHAU, Mike Shingange, says his union is not opposed to younger people being employed in the public service, but it must not be at the expense of older and experienced employees. His comments follows National Treasury plans to offer early retirement packages to about 15,000 public servants at a cost of $310 million to attract younger employees into the public service.
It can't be called voluntary, but it's forced because people must now sign that they are going to volunteer. How do you sign that you are going to volunteer? Because I must feel within me that I'm volunteering now. I'm taking an initiative. I can't be forced to sign that I'm going to volunteer. It shall be held in the public service if we would be forced to sign that. This is not about protecting membership we have. No, it's about the principles.
Oscar Siziba, Executive Head Coverage Business Banking, Standard Bank, says township businesses play a major role in South Africa's economy. Siziba was speaking at the opening of the inaugural Kasi SME National Pitch Challenge Summit 2025 underway in Durban in the KwaZulu-Natal province. The word Kasi means township, Siziba explains.
Our country is doomed, our continent is doomed, and our communities' lives are stretched. Let me be clear, and let us all be clear, that the gas economy is not small, it's mighty. It is alive, it is resilient, and it is growing.
Russia has dangled the possibility of building a nuclear power plant in uranium-rich Niger, a vast arid state on the edge of the Sahara Desert that has to import most of its electricity. Niger has historically exported its uranium for further refining in France, but this is changing as a military-led country cuts off ties with the former colonial power. Niger's government nationalized the uranium mining operation operated by French nuclear group Orano in June, which cleared the way for Russia to put itself forward as a new partner. If it's brought to fruition, this would be the first nuclear power project in West Africa. Moving further afield, U.S. President Donald Trump's threats to double the tax on most imports from India has just come into effect. Smartphones and pharmaceuticals are exempt. Trump imposed 50% tariffs to punish one of the world's largest economies over its purchases of discounted Russian oil, risking the inflicting of significant damage on the Indian economy. The BBC's Davina Gupta reports.
It's a heavy blow for Indian exporters, with most goods now facing the harshest ever tariffs of 50% to enter the American market. Earlier this month, Washington had already raised duties to 25%, accusing India of selling far more to the US than it buys. Now President Trump has doubled the rate, punishing New Delhi for buying Russian oil. India imports most of its crude, and last year nearly 40% came from Russia, which Mr. Trump says is helping to fund the war in Ukraine.
And now for our final look at the indicators this morning. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,534 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 32 Kenya. The dollar is trading at 128 shilling 46. And in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 31. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 42. Russia, 80 rubles 47. India, it's 87 rupees 65. China, 7 yuan 15. And South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 62 cents. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading slightly higher this morning at $3,384 per ounce, and platinum at $1,332 per ounce, while the price of Brent crude oil is at $67.13 a barrel. And those are your business news. For any business news stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459 for Channel Africa Business. I am Bontle Hetbush.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Darubini ya Afrika na I am Henry Shakif.
Unadhani kunaweza kuchangia kwa namna gani ili kuweza kurejesha mauzo ya biashara hiyo ya chai?
Inasemekana kwamba kuna ile kamati ama kamati imeweza kuundwa ikiongozwa na mmoja wa viongozi wa taifa la Iran, na inasemekana kwamba itaanza kazi mara moja na kutafuta vile biashara kati ya Kenya na Iran itaweza kuenda aswa kwa mauzo ya chai.
Siku 60 ni chache sana katika kuweza kuamua jambo au maamuzi. Unadhani litaweza kufanikiwa?
Tukitazama kwa undani, nchi ya Iran imeweza kupigwa marufuku aswa na nchi ya Marekani kwa mambo mengi ya kibiashara, na ndio kidogo wameanza kujaribu kutafuta pale popote watakaweza kupata bidhaa.
Darubini ya Afrika 11 kamili hadi 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
The KZN Convention Bureau, in collaboration with Millvest Advisory and City of Umhlatuze, bring you the 2025 Tourism Investment Forum Africa. By positioning these regions for sustainable growth, TIFA helps drive their economic ambitions while providing access to critical capital, networks and strategic insights on investment in trade in service sectors such as tourism. Join us for TIFA 2025 from August 27 to 29 at Tembela Venue, Richards Bay, KZN, South Africa. Be part of the movement transforming tourism and infrastructure in Africa.
9 to 12 midday, Central African Time. On the Move with Palesa and Benjamin Moshatama.
Kwako tufurahi.
This is Kajanine. What a beautiful song and beautiful ballad there with Sailing, 11:49 Central Africa time. Let's keep the conversations going. We've had a really interesting one, but also a very heartfelt one. So if you want to be a part of those conversations, find us on our live stream and comment there. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, if you've missed anything, hopefully you've not, but you can always catch up with our podcast on our website on www.channelafrica.co.za. Click on programs, you'll find our podcast there.
AUSISA, the Association of Water and Sanitation Institution of South Africa, is a platform uniting Africa's water professionals. This November, Africa leads the conversation on water and sanitation. Join global and African leaders at the AUSISA Africa and Global South Dialogue 2025 from the 9th till the 12th of November at the Emperor's Palace, Johannesburg. From policy innovation, this is where action meets collaboration for a water-secure future. Register today at ausisa-watersan-dialogue.org or follow at AUSISA on social media. AUSISA, working together for sustainable water and sanitation security in Africa. The KwaZulu-Natal Convention Bureau, in collaboration with Milvest Advisory and the city of Umhlathuze, bring you the 2025 Tourism Investment Forum Africa. As a global platform for local action, the Tourism Investment Africa aims to promote the secondary and tertiary cities and regions as attractive investment and tourism hubs. Be part of the movement transforming tourism in Africa. Join us for the TIFA 2025 from August 27 to 29 at Tembela Venue, Richards Bay, KZN, South Africa.
Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move.
Hey man, that is Juanita Moss and Nkosazana daughter Moyo Ingwele taking us to the end of the show. Lulu Gabu is joining us to let us know what's coming up on her show, The Africa Update. Hey Lulu.
Hello. It's a happy Wednesday. Hey,
Happy Wednesday,
Lulu. Happy Hump Day.
Yes.
We're almost there. All right, so, you know when they say the gift that keeps on giving, especially when it comes to news. Unfortunately, this is now how we're describing the Zambia's former president Edgar Lungu's case, with the family against government. A decision coming out of a constitutional court dismissing an application by the family of Zambia's former president Edgar Lungu, challenging a high court ruling ordering the repatriation of Lungu's remains to Zambia.
Ongoing saga.
Now, our question to our listeners on #AfricaUpdate asks is, what do you make of this ruling by South Africa's Constitutional Court? We want to hear from people. We want to hear what people are thinking, because now it is becoming a bit of a situation where it's dragging on and, he has to be laid to rest peacefully. It's becoming a bit, what's the word? Uncomfortable. Yeah. And then there's a big convention that is taking place in the Western Cape province, and something to do with crime. And, we're going to be speaking to Andy Mashaila later today, as well as Professor Breakfast, or is it Dr. Breakfast, academic doctor. We're going to be speaking to them and unpacking a number of issues with regards to this Interpol African Regional Conference, which is underway in Cape Town in the Western Cape province. Earlier on, I saw the minister addressing the conference, and he was just basically, welcoming everyone and saying that a lot needs to come out of this. And the police commissioner also opening that conference as well. So there it's going to be quite interesting, because Dr. Ntsigelelo is going to be basically focusing on the issues of security, peace and conflict resolution on the African continent. And it's a big one.
All right.
Yeah, so all that and more coming up today.
Well, we leave you with that. Thank you so much, Luli, for that update. Let's get out of here, buddy.
Yeah, let's get out of here. Have a great day, Africa. It's been a good one.
We're not chasing you. We're not chasing you. You can stay on with us.
God bless everyone.